This is Colin Digits. I'm here with the DigitsClub. Mirko from UNIX Gaming has joined us. Focus of today, welcome once again, the Downmaker deal, SLT Capital. Some questions. We just reviewed the entire article together. It wasn't recorded, but we did go through the announcement. How happy are you that the announcement is now public and the partnership is in place?
I'm very relieved, I would say, that everything went so smooth from the partnership side, but also the agreement we have among the three parties, because it's not, I would say, like a partnership we have, for example, with a few games you see maybe on our deck, where we have maybe an allocation, and do some streaming or guild support. This is really like a working relationship, a JV we built with these three companies, and looking really to conquer or making the GameFi space more attractive through our brands, and of course taking everyone's expertise basically to to bring give that to upcoming projects. Projects who come to the market. So it was super important for us, because also, if you are a new project, right, then they would ask, what have you launched before? What is your expertise? And it makes our life easier, because we said, like, Downmaker, then SL2 and UNIX Gaming. So it's like we don't need to prove ourselves like a complete startup and doing something new or having new features. No, it's more about really bundle trust into a brand, and then going to the market and giving the confidence to, first of all, investors, but also to projects who will launch on the final round.
Right, awesome. And when you say it's more of a JV, I assume that everybody here is familiar with Downmaker. If you're not, the biggest launchpad based on market cap. They have launched dozens upon dozens and dozens of projects in all kinds of different niches, right? It's not only gaming, they also do different protocols. In regards to SLT Capital, could you give us a small rundown of what that company actually does?
SL2 is basically a venture capitalist, but what they do is not really just investing. So this is a very, very active investor, So if you have SL2 on your board, is really, or you let them in, it's either about advisory, building the connections, the network, maybe for exchanges, for any kind of blockchain development, tech-wise. SL2 is also, part of SL2 is, for example, David Atkinson, who is co-founder of Holochain, who is really have a large technical portfolio and always really working on improving on technical solutions, like smart contracts or any sort of that. Then also SL2 is also with Terra Virtua is also partly they are actually developing games as well. So this is very like a multi company, with a lot of different skill sets. And this is really like, I think, where we really have for every project, we have the needs, to fulfill, because might be you have the best game developers. Yeah, maybe you have, but not the best, for example, crypto knowledge or crypto technology or developers. So there's always something we in our, as final round with our three partners, or with Downmaker, SL2 and UNIX, what we always can plug in. And this is, I think, a very powerful tool. And you feel usually like what we get the feedback, and we have like large games signed up, and even you think, okay, there's a large game, let's say, let's call it Shrapnel, for example, and they're huge, and they haven't, they're gonna be definitely one major title for 2022 and 23, but they also still have gaps or where we can fit in, and it's not only about the launch, so it's really something. And being involved as Downmaker, SL2 and UNIX Gaming in the process by going to the market, gives actually also more confidence in us that we can say, okay, it's not only just allocation re-raise, we standing behind that with the brand, you know, we will be, of course, more specific, maybe in details, what we have done with the games. If you see, for example, DAO Maker, you see some games they're incubated, or they help them completely to build up and going to the market. So
right.
And even our interest to make it successful is even higher. So, and this is now not only from a single party, now it's from 3 parties that we are basically standing behind it with our name and with the quality, what we deliver basically on a day-to-day basis, but now also bring our expertise and knowledge and skill set and tech set into future games.
So on a implementation level, would that look like, for example, that SL2 from the investment branch fills the seed, DAO Maker becomes the market maker, you guys do the IDO, DAO Maker does the private? So is it like some setup like this, or is it more like post-launch?
It's really depends on what everyone wants, really. Like, I mean, sometimes you know, the investment seed round, private round, we as UNIX, we have also an investment arm. So it's more like really what is the appetite, and as benefit, let's say financially for the project, or are we in the position to maybe take a larger seed or private position? Are we sharing that? The 3 of us, is everybody involved in that? No, so it's really different from project to project, because again, you have maybe a little mobile game, but there still could be a very good play and earn game. But then you have maybe Shrapnel as a major title. And so maybe you don't want to be too heavy, be involved in that little project, maybe more in the large project. Maybe you like more little. I say it really depends on the project itself, how much they want us to be involved, you know, that's also a thing.
Right.
And so it's really like...
But basically, it would mean that when a project comes to either of the 3 parties, or you guys reach out, would it mean that it's most often a triangle deal, or will UNIX also participate without these parties involved?
I mean, the Launchpad is one thing, right? I mean, the Launchpad is definitely just, it's always the 3 of us, you know, to bring a game to the market just from the allocation side, okay? Yeah. Because there's the due diligence is DAO Maker. The tech side, so basically integration on the Launchpad, and, you know, building out the Launchpad, more EVM compatible chains, and all the tech part is done by SL2, and all the let's say guild side of things, and yeah, plugging in the GameFi expertise and the players, and, you know, giving the game visibility, and basically giving the game a kickstart on the ecosystem. There's where we come into play. So for each launch, you get all of the 3 of us. But if it's, you know, behind the curtains, let's say before launch, there's like a lot of actions, you know, a lot of communications, because I mean, a launch is not something what you know, yeah. They've been most of the games, they postponed their going to the market. Some games, for example, Angels of Fury, they wanted to launch in Jan, and now they're going live in May, you know. So it's like really a long, so, and all these things we discuss with this project, and there can be that maybe more heavy UNIX is involved, because that's what's needed. Maybe they have a strong tech team, not a good tech team on the blockchain side, sorry. Then SL2 is plugging in. Maybe they want to really get like the full heavy advisory, and then SL2, DAO Maker, all of us sitting down, you know, like really like a roadmap with the project, who's doing what, like you're distributing tasks for each company, and inside our companies, we distributing basically the tasks, or having a project manager basically taking care of certain needs on the project. So it's yeah. So
what would you say with
the 3 of us, and everything what's pre-launch basically, that's happening between like really what is needed.
Right, makes sense. Would you say in terms of the triangle, would you have more grip over the project now it's the 3 of you guys? I would assume so, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's something what every project would need, I think, is like having basically the big brother, and also really telling them, okay, guys, this is what we're gonna do. And maybe you have a false belief how all this works. I mean, there's projects that are saying, oh no, we don't. We have a $10,000 marketing budget. Then we tell them you should increase that maybe. So it's like really, and we know where is the limits, right? What we can do, we cannot make magic, right? You cannot buy a $1 bottle of wine, use a better glass, and it tastes better. No, but the quality need to be there. And there's a limit what you can achieve from which certain budget, right? So, and this is something, we were very clear approaching the projects, what's going on. Sometimes you need to wash really someone the head, and you said, hey, that's it. You need an exchange. That's and it's really not like, getting more and more projects on board, just launching. No, because it's really, it's sorting really out quality and adding our final note basically as a component from the three of us.
I think as well, if you're in the investment side on the project yourself, more heavy perhaps, then obviously you want to see the project all the way through. And there's no use in just launching as many projects as possible if all your investments turn to shit at the end of the day, right? Or potentially not supported as well as they could have been.
Yeah, I think, if crypto wouldn't be too much focused on who or what was a tier 1 VC or not, because this plays a role in crypto, but I think from tech and knowledge, we could even launch just the three of us, a lot of projects without even doing a large, or let's say with the funding, from our three projects. But of course, they want to have also partners involved. Let's say if like they could maybe have a tier 1 VC on deck who give them more trust. What I'm not saying that we don't provide enough trust, but there is kind of this in crypto, they're involved, let's say A1ZZ is on your deck, then you have a very nice partner behind it. And even he's doing anything, the name itself sells,
Yeah, the reputation.
And this is something what we in the Launchpad league, I would say we established that, with our maker. But now just purely just enough for games and projects, the DAO Maker, UNIX Gaming SL2 would be launching, maybe a DigitsClub, maybe it's not enough. You know what I mean? Like, because of the hierarchy of VCs and how the basically people set up to invest.
I mean, with time, I think that reputation will grow, right? The more projects you launch, the more established you get. One perhaps specific question. When you mentioned DAO Maker takes care of the due diligence part, right? In terms of due diligence, what is it specifically that they look at when they cover the project? Is it just doxing the team, doing the legal part, or do they run through the tokenomics?
It's team and legal. I think there's nothing really what I mean by due diligence, because this is standard, right? You cannot, without a contract or without the things are legal. So this is a standard process anyway. But what I mean by that is like, a game can maybe have not, let's say, so what is the goal for a Launchpad? If you participate with your community, of course you want to have return on your investment, right? So, and most Launchpads, they are measured by access on the projects they make, so, and having there and really an expert with data and significant data from 4 years being live, is very important. And it's not really, you don't need to have necessarily a small market cap and maybe the ideal price to generate these access, but it can be also, let's say you have a larger valuation, but your following listing is maybe Binance. There is no better volume you can have on a project than Binance. So, okay, then, and this sort of expertise, and I would say with a very, very high rate of success through DAO Maker, it's a very, very beneficial for us. Even I could make my due diligence, but why should I do it when I'm having someone who done it many, many, many times? You know what I mean?
100% agree.
And again, like so there's different scenarios, you know, that you, again, like it can be larger valuation, but, you know, if Binance is direct listing, you know, after the, let's say the launch, then why not? You know, there is a large volume on it. And so this is also for any investor or for the trader, it's like the ultimate goal to get listed on Binance. So there's like, and that's what I do. And again, for us, the legal part, it's anyway, we have to go through all that stuff, especially when it's US based. But in general, you know, no ticket without, you know, passport basically. So.
Right. Well, that's a good one. That's a good one, because we've seen, obviously there are launchpads that launch projects without doxing the team. And at this stage in the market, I think you're exposing yourself to the most obvious risk, and specifically when the launchpads are suffering. It might not be as of a good idea in general. In terms of token devaluation, I have quite an interesting question that keeps coming back. What we see quite a lot right now is that when tokens devaluate in a bearish pattern, right, of the market, makes sense. There's less launches, people are panicking, tokens devaluate specifically for launchpads quite aggressively. I think it's a normal market behavior. But launchpads are desperately looking for solutions, because obviously for maybe 80–90% of the investors on launchpads, that downward trend doesn't make sense to them. They panic, right? Because they're not in it for the long term or whatever. We see things like staking options. I'm not going to call any launchpads out in this AMA, but let's say 3 to 5 years, right, on staking, which I mean, that's just postponing the problem. Right? If you pay APY this long, if your launchpad is even around this long, right? It's basically locking in the user with it's not a false precept where you basically offer them something, but do you think it makes sense to offer such long staking options? To basically cut the circulating supply, reduce the supply, increase the demand, that kind of thing, to bump the price or at least stabilize the price?
I mean, I think you need to look what is behind the project, you know, like, and DAOmaker is a good example, and UNIX Gaming I would consider as well. So if you purely a launchpad, you need to work with tools within your niche, you know, like, so you are a launchpad, you have the token, so you try what you mentioned, like mostly with the, like, okay, finding a way how to stabilize the coin through our launchpad, through our staking, through our user. But and for example, DAOmaker side, DAOmaker became like a brand, right? DAOmaker is not only a launchpad. DAOmaker have also a stable farm. DAOmaker have the NFT drops, what is also where they building in right now. They have a mint of Maradona coming up, and so there's more features, you know, like in exploring different communities, basically to use your token, you know. And this is something also what we see in UNIX Gaming is we're not thinking, oh, we have another launchpad, what we're going to do with the token. Is the staking it's been anyway on our plan, and the price of the token will be supported by the launchpad, because we have our gaming part anyway. We have the launchpad, we have the app, the marketplace looks pretty solid that we have a live version around 3 months from now. And that supports the token. There's other place what is supporting the token, and what is also, for example, also our NFT drop, what gets other audiences also, not only launchpad audiences, you know, so because there is like limitation. And yeah, I mean, with growing partnerships, especially on our side, in let's say in 4 or 5 different projects, same as DAOmaker, you know, more and more partnerships, you diversify the risk on your token, you know what I mean? Because you can stabilize or improve a token play on very,
well, there could be different utilities, perhaps more demand. But would you then say, because I want to hear your opinion on your competitors, or at least say other launchpads, a 3 to 5 year staking option, even a 1 year staking option, just to stabilize the price from a business point of view, do you think it makes sense, or it doesn't make sense?
If the people really want to stake, why not? It's good. Depends on the return, what you're willing to pay in return, you know, because at the end you need to give something for it. You know, like you cannot just say, okay, for our Launchpad to participate, I think it's not enough, you know, without
Right.
having.
So let me sketch you an example. Let's say we lock the token for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
We give you interesting APY, 120%,
Yeah.
right? Because you have to with such a long term. The reason you do this is to cut the circulating supply right now, lock the tokens, but the initial problem means that in 2 years' time, the initial foundation is unlocked plus the APY gained percentage. So the problem that you have right now, which might be 100% of a problem, is being dragged over to 2 years later. So you have 2 years to fix the problem. And then the problem is 260% because you have that 160% APY as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you can manage that then in 2 years to take then the hit, because they're going to be a hit, you know, every user who is going to sell his token then by release. That's why, for example, we extended our vesting and cliff, right, from our investors. It was actually the same reason to have a longer cliff, but also then is the question you have. So, okay, the cliff is longer, but, you know, basically we're going also to a very, very stretched vesting and having also not even intending to vesting on monthly or quarterly, it's daily. So you have a daily output on tokens, what we believe, and we went through with a lot of our partners, and what we believe that this is like a very, there's no this one moment, you know, it needs to be organically put back in circulation. And that's why yes, you do something, you can fix something now, but you move the problem. It's like a girlfriend. If you not talk to her now, she will be still angry, you know, even after 1 year, you know, it's like, so.
Well, maybe not 1 year, but then she's gone, maybe 1 week, right?
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's like, I think it's like different things, like why you shift, you know, if the Launchpad, and then it's a question, if you do that, what is then the plan? So there need to be a heavy action plan because you put a lot of trust in that. And just from Launchpads who are like really like, there's so many, you know, and I'm not saying that, that, you know, they are bad or anything, but it's like, if it's only a Launchpad and there's just a Launchpad team, because Launchpad effectively just through launches, they're not making really much in revenue. You know, it's really not that much. So, and that's super important then having what we call our, let's say, accelerator in the background, really participating and you know, taking larger positions on the project itself on advisory, you know, or equity, you know. So this is the where final round definitely the build. And then you can even, with tokens from these games, you can even build that in with your community and say, you know, this is our portfolio as final round. Let's say we incubated over the last half year, we incubated maybe 6, 7, 10 projects, advisory. Once you get advisory, let's say play is unlocked, what you can do, go and basically purchase either your own token, because this is just an exchange of tokens in that point. You never paid for it. So, and this is like the long-term play. And there's even like also like how investment funds is like with a token. So for example, it's another guild. So, and their whole strategy is basically they don't do guild stuff. They said we're a guild and we're an investment guild, which makes for me no sense because a guild is actually with players. So I cannot be an investment guild when there's no people or players. So it doesn't matter anyway.
I know which one you're talking about. Okay.
So their concept is basically to now the token maybe go down, but once all their investments are unlocked, they planning, or they're saying at least, that we buying back, and I believe they do that, but they say 60% we do buybacks, or I am not sure if this was 60%, but they have a clear splitted percentage on what we're happening with the released invested capital, you know, in game tokens. And that's their strategy, basically, to increase the token price in the long run. Where I just have concerns, you know, if you're an investor, you should not dump on your projects. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm not saying they're dumping, but 100% of this allocation is already planned to go somewhere. So there's not in this like, oh, we keep 20% or we just take our initial investment back or maybe profit. So it was really saying like, oh, we sell 100% and that's what we're going to do with it. It's very nice for the investors, but for the project itself, okay, you gave us 1 million and now you take us 10, you know, it's
right.
Yeah.
And I also mean like from a business investment point of view, I understand their model. I think it's indeed quite a unique model. It's more money harvesting, right? As a fund would do, but they're not presenting themselves as such. When you would look at, like, for example, buybacks, when I would look at token valuation and like a linear upward trend would make most sense. Obviously, you have the bearish and bullish sentiments, which play a large role. The Bitcoin dominance plays a large role. But what I would always say when I look at like charts is that if the value of the project is there, we see a slow upward linear trend over time, right? Because more people are using the token, more people want the token, and there's a limited supply, right? So the price slowly moves up. When you see like a linear downward trend and they need to do buybacks, in my opinion, you put your supply too big initially to begin with, because otherwise you don't have to buy back your token. And especially if you buy it back and don't put it in treasury, but buy back and burn, that basically means you want the total supply to be cut, and that's manipulating the price artificially by doing it yourself, right? It makes sense, it's all legal, but it's not the actual reflection of the market that your token is appreciating. You're just doing it yourself.
Yeah, no, that's 100% correct. That's why, I mean, I think the buyback should be done from what the company is earning, but giving back to the people. Let's say you have a Launchpad and you increase maybe or a staking pool and you increase the APY for your current players. And of course you need to be somehow balanced that, you know, that you not oversupply the market, but also it's like, I think it's, and moving forward on our token, it's really also what we're aiming for in the long run, you know, like buybacks, but like organic, you know, it's just cover what is given out, basically, you know. It's like that we have a nice balance in the market. So it's really what you want to do with the buyback. At the end, you can buy back everything if there's no more users, you know what I mean? Like if your project is not attractive, you buy back everything. But you know
what you have.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. No, definitely, it's a very good point. Yeah.
I think token utility right now is one of the major downfalls of a lot of projects. In a bullish market, you go along with the trend of the market, and in a bearish market, the difference is being shown specifically on price stability. Which tokens, they will go down, right? The tokens, because that's the sentiment. But some tokens just went down 800%, where other tokens went down 60%, right? That's a huge difference in terms of tokens that are actually being used and not. So I've been talking with a lot of advisors on our NFT project, right? That we're launching end of June, like the huge PFP mint. And basically the thing is the same, right? We're bringing so much utility that there's like, okay, so the floor will be a linear upward trend we can already expect with the roadmap that we have designed. Other NFT projects, so for example, Moonbirds, obviously great reputation, right? Great team behind it, yet there is nothing yet, right? It's just a Discord. Imposters from Elliot, they're doing a game, they have a trailer, but it will take at least another year for alpha version to run, right? Which makes sense, they're raising funds, right? But when you have a real token into play, yeah, why is the Superfarm token not pumping as much? Because Superfarm, as an NFT marketplace, they only launched like 3 projects, right? And compared to other things, yeah, they might take time because they're developing stuff, but didn't you launch your token too early, right? Or didn't you do too short of a vesting period? You can learn from it. I mean, like you guys changed the vesting, which I appreciate that when I asked you, you said you changed the vesting, but initial investors were given the option to get bought out. That was correct, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I think it's a scumbag move to change the vesting, and basically because the investors expected that pattern, right? They made their choice. So if you would say, yeah, so if you would say, I think we spoke with Firestarter Launchpad the other day, and they said in their agreement they're going to put that projects cannot change their vesting without basically the investors in some form agreeing with it, right? Because let's say it depends where it is. If you change your cliff from 2 months to 3 months, it is what it is. But you could change it from 2 to 20 months if you wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this is at the end, you know, we are the company and people put trust in a startup, you know. So it's like you're investing in something you believe in. That's if you come from a traditional, so Shark Tanks, you know, you have a good project, but it's not yet live, but you have maybe the concept, a few sales, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like your project got rated, and these people then invite and buying in, and then buying still in a opportunity. You know, it's not guaranteed. And just literally to secure to bring our project, make it safe. You know, I don't mind. Sorry to say, but the investor side, if you're a VC, because that's your job basically. You know, you provide money that projects can go off, and especially larger investors, they're not picky and saying, "Oh, we need our money because this is our." Otherwise, financially, we are done. You know, and that's why also they do their due diligence. So we give them the option: "Hey, this is the new plan. You can take it, and if not, we will buy you off." And that's always been something what you need to have as a project. Don't lock yourself up. You know, it's your project, right? So, and of course, there have been not everybody, let's say, super happy, you know, say, yes, let's do it. You know, it wasn't like that, you know, but giving them, having another pitch, basically, you know, what we had in the beginning. But in the beginning, it was really just like the revenue we had from the guild side and plus the white paper. You know, and now you have this, and technically roadmap, this is development status, that's our exchange bump. So it was much more, and they say, oh, yeah, okay, then that makes sense, you know.
Well, it's the argument at the end of the day, right? Specifically when you are, there must be a reason why you want to prolong the vesting, and there must be the right utility at the right time relative to all of the things. And if you have, so would you put UNIX, specifically with all the assets involved, would you mark it as a startup still, or would you move it into the scale-up phase?
No, scale up.
Yeah.
Startup was, I mean, we have a clear road now to go technically on several edges. Now the time is to you know, build them out, because I think it's really just a matter of time, right? When the games are ready to launch. So we could launch like 1.5 months ago, but there was no game what I wanted to. So so there's the first project is live, you know, and then once something is running, we need to learn first, because everything is new, right? So to maintain it, you know, and this is just like how really when it's like you know, you drive a new car, you know, you need to get used to it first, and then okay, this is how it works. So now I can press the gas pedal, you know? So this is something. Then the app is coming, and then it's like, it keeps us also busy on several edges. And I think it's really about then now, like for the Launchpad itself, also we have a lot of user, right, for the tiers. And then it's really a user population game. So the app is definitely how your app is rated, by having more user. How the marketplace is, it's rated by your transaction volume, you know, like user transaction volume. So, and then we are in a very different state, and we playing a very different ball game then, you know, like, and you know, our partnership team, very well, Andy, Simon, and the rest. So, and then it's really to building out and getting really all the partnerships in, and that's actually also what I want to leak a little bit here, is basically Azure Games, accidentally my neighbor, you know, so basically they are the third world largest game publisher, and they have so many games in pipeline, and Binance is basically connecting them with Binance. They're having, because Binance saw a huge interest, and they've been in Dubai for a conference, and so they're having like the game portfolio for the next, I would say, 50 games coming this year, next year, and we could get an exclusive with Azure as Launchpad partner, but also on certain games as advisor, because, sorry, all these games, they're coming from traditional market. They're not really having, or they have a certain idea about blockchain, but they're missing really mostly the component, the blockchain. And there's, again, where, for example, now SL2 is coming in, because David Atkinson building on an SDK is basically a plug-in model for making a game to a blockchain game with NFTs and token. So it's really like a toolkit how to monetize your traditional game with blockchain. So, and this is already the offer basically, and they know. And again, we have another meeting tomorrow and lining out, and we just want to assign 50 games with them. And it's not only the launch, it's really the fundraising. We have one game, we already spoke about it yesterday, fundraising, advisory, and blockchain, what we do for the game, plus launch. And then you have the other 50. That's why Binance is also pretty interested, to get basically, first of all, Azure as a governance token, what will happen, but also to get exclusive deals on that. So, and if Binance Labs is behind on these games, so they want to have basically the right to invest, on a certain degree, either with Labs or with Binance itself. And that would mean that, some of these games, they basically get also a Binance listing. So it's a very, very good position for us. And this is something we pretty interested in. And yeah, I have also just go back a little bit on the, when we talked about paying out investors. This is actually something we are looking at a little bit more heavy into, because we have also, let's say, a private person, what is supporting us pretty heavy. And he is, this is something, it's unusual in business, but he's really like, want to be part of UNIX, but he don't mind about, let's say, and we're talking about like 50 million in our fund. So that we basically, that's totally, completely private capital. And I want to make a deal with him. That's basically, we will pay off around maybe 4 or 5 million on our investor side. We keep really only the active investors, but it's basically our own money. So we're forecasting basically returns on the fund for him, make an agreement that we can take in initial capital to sell them off, and then really reducing our complete allocation, basically what we gave out to investors, take it back to UNIX, where we have them basically very, very cheap tokens in the future to monetize, either give it out or, once, let's say, vesting schedules happen, being more stronger in the back. So this is something, it's a very unique position. It's really like, because.
And the big investor, he doesn't want to, because obviously that's a large amount of money, definitely from a private investor.
Yeah.
He thinks that's a good idea as well, to buy him out of his
No, he is position. Not in crypto. He is a friend of mine. I know him for many, many years.
Can we also be friends?
He's 57, and he basically said, I'm done, Mirko. I just want to do something. He have 3 companies. He done for his 3 companies the IPO, so they're live. He is having one more last company. He want to not maybe IPO, but he want to make an IDO. It's a cloud-based AI system for machine learnings, and basically they make already 20 million revenue in that company, and so on. So we help him to make an idea over that. He is privately, and this is just really because this is something what you meet people with a lot of money that really don't care anymore, and he just want to be in that. He is he believe in me because he said, like, it's amazing. I know you from back then, and what you have done with crypto, and your knowledge is insane. So he believed that crypto is the future, blockchain and all that stuff. So that's his only intention. These 2 points is why he come in, and to let him in. Of course, I could let him in also for free, but asking them something as a favor is basically our paying out our investors. So not all. We have some very good relations with some. They're just providing money. So these ones we will basically pay out. But I think this will be a nice announcement also for the community, for holders, because there's definitely, we have less pressure on the token. Yeah. Right. And we're moving from being a startup, or let's say once we've been a startup and funded, basically self-funded but just a half year later, so I think it's a very good way to go forward there.
Interesting. So the money from the buyback, just from my understanding, so I don't confuse it, it comes from UNIX profits, or is it coming from this investor?
Buybacks need to be organically. We don't do buybacks on
if you would buy out the vested tokens.
The buyout, that would be basically capital what we in together, but I don't want to take our working capital right now and limit it or make it bring the working capital down. But if I have an injection, let's say, and it's not confirmed if it's 40 or 50 million, but if I get an injection like this, and with it's not, let's say,
it's just an equity trade in general, right?
It's just basically participating in our fund on certain conditions. Okay. And that's the whole thing. So we have.
That's a good deal. That's a good deal.
It's a good deal. We don't give away anything. The only thing we ask for something, and that's that. And we look at how this performs then, like when the deal take place. Yeah. It can be more serious conversations in end of June, beginning of June. So I think throughout June, we will, sign that and, need to make it legal. Even he's my friend, but he will not do anything,
of course,
without the contract, especially when we talk about not 50 euros. So, yeah.
Interesting. Good news. All right, let's close it today on this good news, because that's definitely interesting. Every time we talk with you, we learn something new, and I definitely like the ideas of talking a little bit about the backgrounds, how it's working with DAOmaker, SL2. Super interesting, because we don't, as you know, Launchpad participants primarily on our audience, we don't often get information like that, right? And I do appreciate that you're always so willing to share and give us some knowledge, right? Sharing your knowledge. So definitely appreciate you, Mirko. Last week with Simon, we also had a blast. So that was also super funny. Definitely the Spaghetti Brothers are something else in terms of their energy. Yeah. That was a very intense session. Anything you would like to add for this week, Mirko?
No, I just think that, we working more close together, like on certain edges is what I really want to look forward with your community, or also personal level. I know I have not that much time maybe as other team members, but it's really like, I like this synergy from the very beginning. Otherwise we wouldn't have this anyway, good relationship. And especially about your NFT project and our NFT project, I'm pretty excited and would look forward to tie them also in somehow, through, because I see our NFT collection more like a membership reward card, like MasterCard. You can get miles,
Simon explained it to us last week. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Definitely. I like what's the timeline on the NFTs? I think we can discuss that next week if they're still.
Sure. You said end of June. I talked with Warren and Sean today, so our launch will postpone then a little bit, because but it's really like really early stage. But the good thing is on the NFT drop. Sorry, we keep talking, but we have a, let's say, I would say an NFT VIP on board. It's the chief strategy officer of Gary Vina NFTs. So he is basically will be on the deck, leading, also to the market, open a network. He's not chilling our project, but definitely him to support it. And he did, by the way, the whole Coinbase NFT marketplace rollout together with Gary V and Vina NFT. So he is very well connected, and it's definitely a pleasure to have him supporting our project. And he's also the tech lead on our marketplace.
Yeah,
so,
that's what I remember. He's the tech lead on the marketplace, and I'm just putting all the puzzles together because UNIX is an amazing thing. But yeah, let's pick that up next week. I would love to know more about NFTs.
Would be amazing.
Thank you so much for today. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and then hopefully we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Colin. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.